Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair.
Happy Sunday and welcome to our second Dune Prophecy screening, episode 2, titled The Wolves. Wolves as in, wolves. Hopefully you guys who weren't versed necessarily 100% on a lot of the stuff that you might have heard and saw and experienced, I hope you've had a time to rewatch the episode. And like I suggested last week, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that will break it down for you. I'm not good at that yet, but there are people out there who are really, really into this IP who watch the show and will make it translatable for you. We are watching this on HBO Max, and we will be going, unlike most of the shows that we do, we will not be skipping the recap. We're going to go ahead because I think that's needed, especially for a lot of you that are new to the channel and probably maybe new to the IP as well. And if all you've seen is the 2 movies, there's a lot more that they put into this. So hope everybody is ready. And let's say hi to the chat. I'm still waiting for the notification that I'm live, so I'm going to go a little bit low. I'm going to ban that word from the channel. Horrible loss by the Redskins. Or I'm sorry, I can't get that out of my head. The Commanders. That's a bad loss. That's a really, 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 really awful loss. You're, competing for the division. I mean, you can't lose to the Cowboys. I don't care where the game's played. You can't lose to them if you're going to be a contender, in my opinion. I'm like, wow. And I'm surprised that the Cowboys were really playing that hard, because I heard a lot of people were like, you know what, why don't they just go ahead and lose out the season and get a high draft pick? They'll mess that up too. So I mean, as long as Jerry Jones is at the helm, it doesn't matter what assets you get. It's not going to turn out well. The guy no longer has it. If he ever did, we can make a good argument that those 3 championships in the 90s were Jimmy Johnson. Even the one that Barry Switzer won. That was Jimmy's team. Jimmy built that team. So we're going on 29 years without a Super Bowl. I don't even think they've made it out of the first round. I mean, there's been like a couple times they've made it out of the first round since 1996. Most Cowboy fans, a good half of Cowboy fans, have never seen that team get to an NFC Championship game in their lifetime. That's got to suck. That's got to suck. So yeah, Cowboy, and then the state of New York and your teams. At least the Yankees made it to the World Series, but man, the Jets and the Giants really suck. So yeah. Oops. Yeah. Hold on. Let me go into Patreon here real quick. I thought I did it already, but busier Sunday than I thought. So let's go out to the lobby. Let's go out. All right. So create link. Okie dokie. All right, Patreons, your link is in the messages or on the Patreon page. Yeah, so that makes you 30. Yeah, it's okay. The sun rises in the east, sets in the west, and Dallas will always be. I don't know, man. It's just like I don't know. It's just that's just in a mess. Poor team. Hello, Omega. All right. Here's Brad. Here's Spider Man. How you guys? Oh, not Brad. I'm sorry, Clint. I don't know where the hell Brad is.
So
he's at home washing his tights.
Oh, hilarious. All right, guys. You guys ready? I mean, you guys are pretty versed on the two of you guys are pretty. You don't have to have anything explained to you, but I spent the week. A lot of people were like, going back and forth with me on, messaging and everything else, asking me a lot of questions, and I was just sending them links to videos. In fact, I might look through my emails. I might put those links in the chat for you guys if you guys need them. As far as like, how's everybody in the chat following so far this first episode? Was there any questions that anybody had that they didn't really?
Well, I just saw the first episode a little before the about 2 or 3 hours ago. But what did you guys think so far?
I like it. There's a lot packed into this. There's a lot of complexity that I don't know if it will translate to the same type of viewer that went and saw and loved Dune 1 and 2, because it's not the same. It's Dune 1 and 2, they made it digestible for anybody who understood political intrigue. This is political intrigue, but there's a lot of parts in there that just weren't in the two Dune movies that really probably need a reference for some people, maybe. So.
This episode, it kind of reminds me of like there are no good guys. Everybody's out for themselves.
Yeah, this will be a first watch for me on this one, so keep my eye out for that.
Yeah, I got a lot of that. They're building a world, and that's why I'm wondering if 6 episodes is enough. So,
well,
but
Dune has always been slow.
Yeah, but if you go to the movies, were not as slow as Dune traditionally is known to be. They move at the pace, and they cut a lot of things out that are not needed for a visual narrative for 2 hours and 2.5 hours. So, when you look at this reminded me more of the books than anything else, but better visually. Like I said, I will never read those books again, but I can watch, adapted stuff like this, no problem. But as long as it keeps up. So, like I said, this is an hour and 10-minute episode. These episodes are beefed up. They're not granted, yeah, some of that is trailers and previews, but you're still getting a solid hour with each of these. So I am going to go ahead, and where I am starting at is, let's see.
Might as well start right after the Creature Commandos thing when the podcast thing pops up at 30 seconds.
That's pretty much where I'm at.
Okay.
All right. So we're not skipping the recap because, like I said, I think the recap is helpful. All right. I am going to count down 3, and then we'll start. All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
So, like, when I was watching the episode earlier, they had the pomegranate at the wedding, but then, like, later on, they showed, like, a pomegranate with a bunch of, like, worms in it.
I hate when you get worms in your pomegranate.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it sucks. Wait, maybe giving you a timestamp?
We're in the recap right now, and we're at 1 minute and about 30 seconds.
Okay. Didn't miss too much then.
I watched both episodes tonight, finally.
Okay. I didn't watch the other one. I just saw the first episode only.
Well, these watch-alongs get interrupted, and it's a very dense material to watch, so
Yeah, I
it's
get
it's
that.
helpful to watch it by yourself.
Yeah, I know. I know. I just didn't get the chance to watch the second one. So.
But this episode does move the story along.
Okay. On the first episode, there was a planet that they showed the Bene Gesserit on. It said something like something 9, but I don't know if that was like a reference to Ix.
Well,
the planet called Ix.
they're not the Bene Gesserit yet.
Okay.
They're the Sisterhood. From what I gather, this is the beginning of the Bene Gesserit.
Okay. Chuck, I completely agree. But that's been DC since 2013.
Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just read Dak Prescott's out for the season.
So the little diamond on the forehead, that's like the Sioux School doctor, right? Clint?
Yeah, they're supposedly trained to be 100% loyal and never
Lie or
Yeah.
except for the first one you meet in the original story, obviously, is
his conditioning was broken.
uh-huh.
Right, Aaron.
Time.
We are at 5 minutes and 15 seconds.
Cool, thank you. This kind of
Secula Secundus is the prison planet that the Sardaukar are on, right? But they made it so that's before it looks like it looks now, Clint.
This series is kind of all made up.
Mm-hmm.
It has just kind of names
Okay.
that relate to the Dune story,
Like
but
in
the rest of it's kind of all made up.
okay, because in the book, Carino family's from Secula Secundus, but it gets it gets turned into a prison planet. That's why they train the Sardaukar, and they live on a different planet called Kaitan or something like that.
I like how the Sardaukar are portrayed in the new movie. It's more real, more like the book than in the first the 80s version.
Think so?
Oh yeah, they were like the
They're
Sardaukar
intense.
were
Yeah.
like so devoted and so they would just die for nothing.
Yeah. You got somebody watching from New Zealand, William. And Arrakis Central said it's not made up. It's based on the Sisterhood of Dune trilogy. And the book they are in disguise because they infiltrate the Duke's.
Welcome,
Arrakis
welcome
Central's
to
on
the
the
show, BT616.
That's just a quick swim from
so
Australia.
this is
Right?
a very female TV series, isn't it?
Yeah, well, the Bene Gesserit, that's all female, isn't it?
Across the
until Paul's the male.
across the
Paul's the male
Tasman
Bene
Sea.
Gesserit.
You see that guy there now?
Yeah.
He's an Aussie, but he's done it.
Yeah, you're cutting in and out.
A little bit out of
And
here.
I think we're probably, let's say, 30 seconds ahead of you or behind you, maybe, because you don't probably have the original commercial that we get. We have a suicide or a Creature Commandos commercial before the show starts. It's 30 seconds long. So whatever timestamp Brad, or here, I'll give you a timestamp and then you knock it back 30 seconds. So it's 10 minutes. So I guess you're like 9.5 minutes is where you should be.
Yeah, the Sardaukar dressed like the Harkonnens to attack the Atreides from Arrakis Central.
It's
Well, in the movies, Arrakis Central, at least in the most recent one, the 2021, they were just sent there to eliminate everything that was, so that every Atreides on the planet, to wipe them out totally, so you wouldn't need to disguise them. Which is not in the book, but whatever. I mean, it's movies, books. They're two different stories.
So, what do you think about this guy that faced down the sandworm and lived to tell about it, or do you think he died and he's something else?
Listen, there is one guy, there's one dude who was face down a sandworm and really knows what he's talking about, and that is Burt Gummer.
All right, man.
I have no idea who this character is. It doesn't. There's no reference to it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know, only Paul was the Kwisatz Haderach. You know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, the Fremen could ride the sandworms, but it didn't show him riding it. It just showed him face it down, and then I mean, it's unresolved, I suppose.
So this is like a female, like centered Dune show, is it?
Yep. The Bene Gesserit, Aaron, it's one of the ideas that George Lucas lifted when he came up with the Jedi Knights for Star Wars.
How come I never saw any of that in Star Wars?
It's not the same exact thing, but it's some of the ideas that come up with, like, that the Jedi Order is kind of like their discipline is based on the order of the Bene Gesserit from Dune, because Dune predates Star Wars by like 13 years, I think. Star Wars is pretty well. George Lucas is pretty well known for being very inspired when he came up with the story for Star Wars.
He even took a lot of elements from Star Trek.
You think so?
There's a very iconic picture of George Lucas meeting Gene Roddenberry. Yeah.
Well, the Bene Gesserit are the women, and the Guild is the men.
The Spacing Guild and the Mentats are mainly men. Those are the three main spice users.
And the Mentats replaced the computers because the computer smart machines turned on them and they had a war.
The Butlerian Jihad was the... So they're talking about right now unlocking the genetic memory. That's one of the main elements of being a Bene Gesserit, Aaron.
Mm-hmm.
They were pretty interesting powers.
A Reverend Mother.
I think that's something they. I don't know if this has ever been talked about, but that sounds a little bit like that might have been something they kind of that was inspired, or that they carried, or that Dune, that part of it might have inspired a little bit of Assassin's Creed, because Assassin's Creed also kind of deals with the the whole concept of genetic memory and being able to like reliving your ancestors' lives, so their genetic memory and technological.
It's possible.
Yeah.
By the way, the Assassin's Creed movie is crazy underrated. Freaking love the Assassin's Creed. We have to do a watch party of that now. Because it's definitely sci-fi. I'll make the rules, William. And by the way, Aaron, that thing I shared with you earlier is one review of Wicked. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there was a part of it where I read this and it's like, oh man, if Aaron had said this, I would have been there like I would have been. I would have been like. I would have done like over this weekend because I'm planning on getting to it over Thanksgiving week. But I'm
Yeah,
like, oh,
I've read what you said.
if
Yeah,
I
read what you said.
if I knew that, basically this one review said that the witch flying around the broom, it described as like if Zack Snyder.
You two are literally talking about Wicked over a sex scene if we're lined up right.
Right.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Well, just there's this one review that said that the witch flying scenes
Hashtag blame Brad.
quick and Wicked. It's like this one guy described it as like if Zack Snyder did a Quidditch match in Harry Potter. I'm like, oh, are you serious? This is like, oh, you sold
Nothing
me.
to do with Dune. But hey,
And I said, like, Aaron, like, why didn't you say that? It's like if you'd said that, you would have sold me. It's like I would have been like, I would have like gotten my ticket, like left the computer, and like on the first show after we talked about it. Would have done that immediately. That sounds rad.
I was in it. I was in it.
It's fantasy, William.
it's not the fantasy we're watching. I mean,
I made a connection a minute ago to Assassin's Creed because the whole idea.
I know it was pretty lame. I heard you.
Yeah, but it's not lame, but it's very accurate. And Assassin's Creed is also sci-fi, so you have to watch right now.
Okay, can we
Brad,
get to
you
the
don't
one
have
we're
to
actually doing now?
Explain why you explain something. Just
Can I what? I'll make the rules. You say sci-fi, it's sci-fi.
Okay, one at a time. She's doing her line right now.
No, we do like 15 sci-fi things all at once.
They were just doing drugs.
Well, one thing these people are far in the future, so they have the same frailties we have. So have you bought a ticket yet, Spider-Man?
yeah, I'm on one of the Guild Highliners right now, yo. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I bought my ticket 10 minutes ago.
What movie are you going to watch?
Who are you asking?
Not that type of ticket, Aaron.
She knows what's up.
Oh,
She's wrong with the
okay.
metaphor.
I'm sorry. My mistake.
Watch How High with Red Man and Method Man.
I'm just going to die of embarrassment now.
You're all right. So Arrakis Central's popping facts up if you guys want to highlight it. I don't know if Brad's still around, but very relevant.
It's a very beautiful world.
Would you say here?
I said it's a very beautiful world
Yeah.
that's been made there.
Let's see. You guys are talking about Ben and Jester. I'm over here listening to Benny and the Jets. Okay. Perfect timing, man.
Just to play on
Alright.
words. Hey, Brad, you should try highlight. We've already kind of caught up with it, but you should try highlighting Arrakis Central because Arrakis
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
planet Dune, and that's
Yeah.
he's talking about stuff that's.
Spice was mainly used as.
I don't know
drug
if that's a
lord.
he, by the way. It could be a he, she,
Yeah.
they, whatever.
Well,
I'm sorry.
I mean, my question, my main question is whether William's bed is on Arrakis Central.
Hey, Rackus, I'm going to ignore that. Would you like to come on the show?
Yes,
Is that
please.
too-
We're doing a
I
Dune watch party. I mean,
think you would
anybody's perfect for it to be you.
have somebody on the show actually talking about what's happening on the screen for once.
I mean,
Well, we were
yeah,
talking Dune.
I'm fucking with Brad. There's a link. That's for Arrakis Central. If you want to come in, like I said.
It's probably fourth.
I mean, if it's fourth,
Well,
it's
if
fourth.
he still knows what the fuck he's talking
Yeah,
about.
okay. They can help. They can help viewers with the show, especially those who are watching later.
Yeah, both Dune and Lord of the Rings. You can go really down rabbit holes with them.
Surprised they don't have like the wire thingy coming out of their faces.
Oh, like the chain, the necklace chain kind of thing. Oh, you're talking about with the still suit stuff, the tube, the air tube thing, when they're in the desert.
Is there a show after this? Let's let Dunes be the only. Yeah. This is the show for the night.
Arrakis says they mentioned the Rosak poison, which is the original Sisterhood planet. So, do they make it clear whether or not in this era the navigators exist and they're able to do interstellar travel, or are they doing it without spice?
So far, there's no mention of the guild at all, the Spacing Guild at all.
Yeah.
Arrakis Central. Welcome to Sci-Fi Center.
What's going on, Arrakis?
How's it out there in the galaxy, 10,000 years of the future?
He's on that spice melange. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm going to unmute you. Oh, they muted themselves. Okay, unmute when you're ready to talk.
Oh, shoot, here we go. Okay, guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, man.
Hey, what's up? Am I too loud or?
No, you're perfect, man.
No, you're fine.
Hey, what's up? Hey, I saw you guys' stream. I check it out.
Oh, yeah. Is this your first time seeing the Sci-Fi Center?
Yeah, I found you guys because I was just cruising the old Dune Google searches.
Oh, cool.
Oh,
Well,
cool.
welcome
Wow.
to Sci-Fi.
That's
Welcome
good
to
to hear.
the
Thank you.
Yes,
Hey, man.
Sounds like you went way down the rabbit hole of Dune, man.
Yeah, man.
Oh, you were already there. You started in the rabbit hole, possibly, which is perfect.
I read all the Brian Herbert books, so like I know like a lot of the backstory of all these characters and what's going on. And this is like basically 30 years after the end of the Sisterhood trilogy, which is Sisterhood of Dune, Mentats of Dune, and Navigators of Dune, which is the 3 books. And the flashbacks in this show are on out of those books, like almost directly.
Yeah, I kind of lost track of Dune after Paul died. It's just kind of like after that, it just got too weird for me.
Yeah, it gets into like they're all Golas and clones of each other and all weird stuff like Duncan, Idaho, and all that stuff.
Yeah, Duncan, Idaho's ends up being the main thing, right? So.
Well, it's actually I saw an article earlier. It was like talking about like, hey, the main hero of Dune is Duncan. It's like because he goes on forever.
Yeah. He's the perfect Kwisatz Haderach, right?
So in this show, I've already watched the episode.
Megan's eyebrows going.
They do mention Spacing
Hey,
Guild.
what's up?
Okay.
You guys already watched the scene with Constantine and the princess when they're having some
Yeah.
personal time.
Yeah.
Having some giggity time.
She mentions the Spacing Guild right then.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. I must have missed it.
Were you distracted by the other things going on? No.
Could have been.
No, somebody was talking about a green witch and another witch at that very exact time, so we were all distracted from it.
Sci-Fi Center is world famous for getting off topic.
Yeah, that's funny.
So, that guy is getting off topic.
Oh, don't forget the one underneath.
Yeah, well, picking on
Oh, it's
picking on air.
that look on her face is hilarious.
She's into the show right now.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, this episode is way better than episode 1.
yeah,
it's
we
already moving a lot faster.
yeah we kind of felt like the first episode had some pacing issues, and yeah, this definitely feels like they've kind of found their groove.
I think a different person made that first episode when I read. Different showrunner.
Okay.
And I think that person got let go, so to speak,
Well-
and then they moved to the. That's what I've heard. I don't know how true that is. I don't know much about the Hollywood stuff, but yeah, apparently a different showrunner made episode 1. I don't know what happened, and it switched to the current, whatever you want to call it, showrunners.
Omega, have you been watching Dune?
I didn't see Dune 2 yet, but I saw Dune 1 and I saw a little bit of the first episode of Dune Prophecy. But
You want a timestamp?
I love the fact that people still think they can do the impossible, which is make a show about outer space when you don't have what I consider to be, like, they called it the Unreal Engine. You know how they in video games, when people want to make a world, they use the Unreal Engine. I think that maybe 20, 30 years from now in movies, if they make some kind of CGI Unreal Engine that can make worlds and it's believable, you'll go crazy. It'll be like, finally we can make a space show. Because, like, even in Star Wars, I was watching Battlefront footage and I was like, this is incredible. Could you imagine if they just get there 20 years from now, where you're going to be like, it won't be about acting, it'll be about a world. It'll be like, this is the world, you know. Because when you see Dune, you know what you're going to see. You're going to see British actors, you're going to see Australian actors, you're going to see actors dressed up, and then just like things floating in space. But it gets kind of boring. I love.
Well, Dune
Star
is
Wars,
not
that's why.
really about space. It's
No,
more
but to be in
about
outer space, if you're going to do a show like
Trade
perfect
the A
example-
for the I. If you trade
Like,
the A in space for the I, that's
No, I'm just saying, like, a perfect example is the Phantom Menace. When they made Naboo, think about that. In Dune, there could be 50 planets that are Naboo-like, and everybody's doing something on them. And
yeah,
then
there is.
they're kind of
There's like
focusing on boring
Caladan's a
stuff,
water
because
planet.
Dune
That's
can be a
for-
little boring. Like the Jedi seem like a lot cooler than the Bene Gesserit. Is that what they're called? What are they called?
Yeah, they're Bene Gesserit.
Yeah, like, it's just, of course, George Lucas won the battle making them like samurai. It was like, it just gets boring when it becomes about talking. Like, why can't it be planets?
well, that's what Dune has always been about.
That's what it is, man. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but that's
Oh, I know it's based on a book, and it's like, and then I'm just saying, like, if you're going to create this show, is this show based on a specific novelization?
Well, it's based
It-
on. Go ahead.
It's based on Frank Herbert's son's book.
Yeah, but I'm saying, like, is it like you know how Star Wars has books like Shadows of the Empire?
Nah, this
Well-
Shadows of the Empires. Those are errors that came. Those came from books. But
Fan
this
fiction,
stuff is no. It's actually, well, at the time it was canon, but these, which you're hearing and watching right now, is part of the Dune universe, one way or another.
Yeah, so it's canon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the
I
way,
just-
104 of you watching right now, please, if you have not already, come over to youtube.com/the Sci-Fi Center at the Sci-Fi Center and join us here This is our preferred format for you to watch us on for a lot of different reasons that I won't go into right now. But hey, there you go. You can't see it right now because Omega's there, but there you go. In fact, hold on. I'll do this real quick.
So
There you
I think his thing about the space stuff in the books, actually there's a lot more space stuff going on, space battles. And so basically there's triple cross fleet battles where you have the Butlerians and
Yeah.
the Joseph Venport and the Imperial fleets fighting each other in the books. So they don't put any of that in the show apparently, but
Yeah.
there's actually a lot more. There's giant.
What books
Giant.
were those in? I honestly don't remember any space battles, but I didn't read all the books.
Yeah, so in basically it really starts off with the space battles, and I think it's Machine Crusade, which is the second book when they nuke the humans, nuke Earth. So Earth is what spikes. It's pretty ironic actually, because the rebellion against the machines, it actually starts off on Earth when Erasmus throws Mannion Butler, the little kid. So this AI guy.
So these stories are from his son then.
Yes. So there's basically it's 6 books if you really want to get the base of it all, of what the backstory of the show.
How does this show hold up to the books thus far?
I mean, there's so much more in the books going on, but that's pretty typical.
Understood. But do you feel like it captures the general idea, or is it very inaccurate, or what do you think?
It's not inaccurate. It's just it doesn't have everything in there. But the thing is, this takes place 30 years after those books. So, this is a fresh story.
Mm-hmm.
So this is 30 years after the events of Sisterhood. The Sisterhood, Mentats, and Navigators happens within in a couple years of each other. And Valia is young. So is Tula.
So how she was before the time skip in the first episode. That was during that period.
Yeah, so you guys, I don't want to ruin any spoilers, but episode 1, we saw her right in the beginning. She uses the voice on Dorothea.
Yeah.
What they don't show you is there was a split in the Sisterhood.
They were having a disagreement, right?
Well, she wasn't even actually living on Wallach 9. Dorothea was working directly for the Emperor, and she was strictly anti-technology, anti-AI.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happened, there was a split. Emperor Salvador, Dorothea tells Emperor Salvador, hey, the Sisterhood is using AI technology. So he shows up there, but they got wind of it. So Valia hides these computers in the jungle on Rossack, the original planet. And then what happens is the Emperor shows up with his bodyguards and a whole force at Rossack. And they're like, we know you're hiding these computers, but we can't find it. And then there's a standoff, and 10 sisters get murdered, executed by Emperor Salvador, which is Emperor Salvador in this show. So we have Emperor Javico in this show, right? Mark Strong. That's his uncle.
Okay.
So he's a little kid in the books, the Emperor in this show. So that's it's a generation later.
How old is he in the show right now? Because I know it doesn't. They use
50.
spice, right? So doesn't that prolong their age?
Well, they're not all using spice, really. I mean, not everybody's using spice.
But the rich people are.
Well, they're snorting something else. I don't think that's really spice they're snorting in the show. I think it might be what's the other drug they use? Samutra, whatever it's called. They use spice, but they're not really. Really, if you're addicted to it, you have the eyes of Ibad, which is the
woman did at the bar, which they made clear.
Yeah, so Michaela, that her name was. So I don't want to ruin it. You guys are still watching the episode.
All right, well, let's get that. We'll get to that a little later then.
You have to ingest a lot of spice to get those. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to eat
how the Fremen are within the environment.
You gotta be there forever.
But
yeah, you've gone way past what I know.
So going back to that point, so in this show we're dealing with Emperor Javico. He's the son of Roderick. Roderick was the brother of Salvador. and that's all those characters are covered in those books.
Javico actually was Brad's name before he got the change. So when Brad was about 13 or 12, whenever the memory started, his name used to be Javico. Now he's Brad.
Oh, and we also blame Brad for everything.
And he spoils everything. So
Well, I think in the audio book of
but
Mentat,
that's why we love him, right, Brad? That's why we love you, right?
I mean, this is like
I was not saying.
Brad Javico, Love Spice. But there's like 3 books really you would need to know, but
Do you
It's
feel
like-
like they should have adapted the books, or do you feel like they will adapt the books somehow within this?
it's so much information. I don't know how they'll do it. Too much. So they did, episode 1. They give us the thinking machine, the machine crusade. I'm guessing that's the Battle of Corin they're showing at the end. For Raquella, what they don't tell you, the old lady who dies in the beginning, Raquella, her grandfather's Orion Atreides, so she's Atreides bloodline. They don't even tell you that.
Okay.
They don't tell you Dorothea was working for Salvador and all that.
They might tell you later in another episode, but
I don't think they're gonna do that. It's too much information.
What do you think, Omega? Is that sci-fi enough for you, or do you
I
still
think
think
that's
it's
a
a little
lot
toned
of
down?
awesome stuff, but I don't care. That's my biggest problem with Dune that's where Star Wars always kicked ass in Lord of the Rings, is that you need that Frodo, you need that one character who brings you in. That's why Dune finally was amazing with the new director Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how to say his last name.
Villeneuve?
Villeneuve. Yeah, he knew how to take Timothy Chalamet and Paul Atreides and make it work. Because I was watching that first Dune when I first saw it, and I was like, "Oh, okay, now I understand what this is like." It's the different thing. Because when I first saw Dune with David Lynch, I was like, "Oh, I guess this is supposed to be like a book adaptation," and then Dune the movie totally feels so cool. It feels like its own thing because there's a vision behind it. So when you're doing things like this where there's a lot of information, you just need to have that visionary. You have to have a visionary showing you things. It's like, oh, that's cool, that's cool, that's cool. I want to, because like it's a perfect example. I know it's just so weird that I'm saying this, but the other day I clicked a 4K video of a battle on Feed for a video game for Star Wars, and I was like, this is, if they would have been able to do this in the Phantom Menace, people would have lost their minds with the visual effects we have today. So to me, my problem is I don't want to see actors talking. I don't think that I would want to travel to another planet to have a conversation. I would rather see something like what you see in Game of Thrones, where she's like, "Hey, I have 9 wives. Pick one, do something," or like just the fact that you're on another planet. Why does everything have to be like, oh, well, we're going to talk English, or we're going to do this, or we're going to, it's like, it seems
I understand that, but they call it Galactic Standard in Star Wars, I think.
yeah,
It's
because
like an
I
imaginary
love it.
language.
I love the idea that we, just all of us, like, let's say, how many of us are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. The 7 of us. Imagine if we went to one of these planets just right now. We got sucked in like a video game, and we're just sitting there, and we're like, okay, we're going to sit down in chairs. Like, that's the first thing we do. Like, we'd look around and be amazed, going, and in horror, like, what is
Maybe
this
you'd have to
world?
sit down
Well,
after
yeah,
all that.
because we're the fan watching. These people live in this world. If you're writing a story about a
Let the man.
spacefaring species, they're not going to be awed and wowed by that, right?
But do they really live in the world, William? I mean, when you look at Deadpool and Wolverine, when Deadpool and Wolverine go into the void, you see that the hierarchy of power is immediately established with what was her name? The Xavier's
Cassandra?
Emma, I think it was called.
Cassandra?
Emma. Yeah, you immediately see the power that they're in there. Like I don't understand the power of Dune. Like, who's in charge in
Dune
Dune?
is
The
all
spice,
about-
they say the spice is everything.
That's literally what the show's about, Omega. Though that's
Yeah, the
not
spice,
piece
yeah.
of peaches. No. The learning the power structure and learning the familiar. That's literally what we're watching right now.
Oh, I know that. I'm just saying, like, I don't believe it. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that this is the power structure, because I feel like this is just something that they had to, like, if somebody could have, like, I feel like somebody should have read it and gone, let's be real here. You have the power to command people to do whatever you want them to do with the voice, but you're scared that something's going to happen where someone's going to overthrow you and go, oh, they're using the voice too much. We have to stop them. You get what I'm saying? Like,
Well,
that fear may not
Omega,
exist on other
Omega.
planets.
The Bene Gesserit are working on thousands, if not tens of thousands of years plans.
Yeah, but why do they do that? Why do they have to worry about
Because that's how
it's so boring.
So
Why
that's
do they
the
worry about
story,
things?
That's Paul Atreides. So you can get the Kwisatz Haderach, so Paul Atreides can try to get the Golden Path going. That's the whole point of the story, and then there's consequences from there. So like this is maybe prophesying. Maybe that's why it's called prophecy, because it's prophesying maybe something to do with that further.
But I don't know. I think it's called prophecy because that's in the Bible. There was a word prophecy in the Bible, so he just made that.
No, it's
But
the
like-
story, man. It's literally the story.
No, but I'm saying like the writer knew the word prophecy from the Bible, so he's just saying now.
Yeah,
doing
but
prophecy.
that word's not exclusive to the Bible, though. It's relevant to the story.
No, I'm telling you, like when
Prophecy
you
is a
look at
word
George
that you
Lucas
use
and the
in
Dune writer,
Bible.
they stole like okay, let's be honest. They're in the desert. They're in the desert. Who were in the desert? The Jews were in the desert with David
Okay, hold on.
and Moses. Why can't it be something like Naboo? Why can't it be Naboo?
Hey,
the
Omega,
Gungans. Everybody hated the Gungans, but it's
let's-
so cool.
Let's
This
watch this
stuff
episode.
bores me when it's
Let's watch
people
this episode.
talking.
Let's get to this episode and we can get to all that. All right?
Okay, I'm
this
just
is very
saying,
delicate.
I
stuff.
don't like
understand.
I loved Rebel Moon. I love Serenity. I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings. But Dune just Zendaya's
if it
cool. I
isn't
don't know.
your cup of
Zendaya's
tea,
the
it
cool
just
one.
isn't your cup of tea, but it's always going to be about political intrigue. It's always going to be about spices and allegory for oil.
I know that. But okay, but what about Zendaya? Look how she played in Dune 2. I'm not going to spoil it, but at the end of Dune, we know what happens and the look on her face after what happens for the.
Well, that's Villanova's
That's playing it in an emotion.
That's his interpretation.
But don't spoil it. Don't spoil
That's
it.
not in the book.
But I'm just saying, like the emotion that she plays, I was like, now that's like awesome because I'm like, you can see actors being a part of what's happening to them, not going, oh, I'm going to just do something because the writing dictates it. I don't know. It's just, that's just how I feel. The same thing happened in Indiana Jones when his best friend died in Dial of Destiny, and he just keeps moving on. He just moves on. And there's a scene, there's a great scene where he goes, "My best friend just died," and the girl just wants to move on.
Dude, he's like real life Joker gas, William. He's real life Joker gas.
Let's just get through this episode, and then we'll maybe we'll dive into all that at a later time. But these episodes are complex.
You guys can watch this. I'm just telling you, the reason Dune has never been that successful is because it doesn't.
We're literally
come
watching a
emotional.
show based on its success.
Right.
We're watching a show because there's really successful movies.
I don't think it's that successful. I think Rebel Moon is the better success to me. It just didn't get the money.
Well, that's fine, Omega. That's your opinion.
But we're watching Dune right now.
I like that you have a banner saying Omega's on his own. Do you have that permanently around, or is it just?
Yeah, because I need it. We're watching Dune. So if you're coming on to watch Dune,
I'm sorry, Arrakis. This is normally
okay, but we're watching Dune and we're not like engaged in it. We're not like
well, I'm trying to engage in it right now. That's what I'm trying to do. We are engaged. We literally have Arrakis Central on to help us engage further.
I was just asking opinion. I was just asking what you thought, man.
Well, we can get into it later. I have stuff to say about Rebel Moon, but I won't. I'll wait.
Well, Rebel Moon is a copy of all franchises. It just rips off 40K, Dune, Star Wars, everything. It's nothing original.
Oh, I know it's a copy, but it's just I don't know, something about it's just about the emotion. If you can get swept up in the emotion, you'll go with the story. Like to me, Dune, like a lot of it is really cool, but if you take away specific people who work on it, it becomes a boring story.
That is everything ever written or created.
Exactly,
Literally.
William.
That's everything that's ever been written.
What kind of salad is that, William?
That's the
Finish.
quote of William.
I will
That is
give him this.
everything
The
William-
episode 1 was not as good as this episode. So he's kind of right on the writing on that first episode. Definitely was lacking to me. The pacing, anyways. But this episode 2 was a lot better to me.
Well, just so
Yeah,
happens that
episode
Omega
two
might
seemed
be
to
a
move
writer.
the story along. But episode 1 kind of had to happen to kind of set the base for non-Dune people.
Yeah. I don't know. I used to go to Barnes and Nobles and they had the sci-fi center. I mean, the center of the books, and you would just go looking through all those science fiction, and it was like, nothing stood out. There was always the ones that everybody loves are Dune, Star Wars, Star Trek, and it's because they have characters. Like I said, Dune has Paul Atreides, Star Wars has Luke Skywalker, Star Trek has Captain Kirk. If you just take all the stuff and put it in one world, it's boring because you're like, who's the story about? Who's my Frodo
Dune
Baggins?
is more like Game of Thrones than anything.
Oh, I was just going to mention that, yeah.
And so
But
that's
Game
a
of
different
Thrones
kind
is
of
cool,
vibe,
though.
you know.
Game of Thrones is cool because of HBO. As a
Well,
book
here we
series,
are on
it's good.
HBO watching Dune. Crazy.
Yeah. Mm.
I think this show got into some of that writer's strike limbo
What's your-
too.
I'm sorry, what was that?
I said, what's your thoughts on Babylon 5?
I never really watched it.
Oh, Babylon 5.
Oh,
Likewise.
Babylon 5.
I never saw
That's-
Battlestar Galactica. I wanted to watch the new one and the old one.
Time out, guys. Time out, everybody. For the last
I know
Whatever
you want to
time
keep
we
it to
have,
Dune,
let's
but
keep it to Dune, because remember, there are people who are going to be watching this channel for the very first time, and I apologize to those of you that will fit that category. This kind of like speed pass.
okay. To keep it to Dune, William, my question, since you're an expert on Dune,
No, I'm not.
who's the Arrakis is? Oh, who is the god that they worship in Dune? Who's their main god?
Oh, Paul Atreides, the Kwisatz Haderach, right?
Well,
But
no,
don't
they
believe in a god, because I
Not
know they're not
everyone.
going to use the ones that we use, but they have their own versions, like
Well, it depends
Avatar,
on
Ewa.
it depends on the planet and the person. So there is like this traditional god they believe in, like what we think of a Christian god, but
Oh,
it's
they
not
have
really,
one, a Christian one?
Well, it's not really
Yeah, I was going to say they would never do that.
anymore.
They can
Yes,
never
but
they
do
they
would,
have-
that.
because this is a continuation of the human race. This whole
It's-
story is a continuation of the human race millions of years in the future.
What are your thoughts on that, William?
Well,
Do you think that
20,000
could
years,
possibly ever truly work?
10,000.
That you go from a Christianity god and then you're trying to make something like Dune? It would never work. You can't do that.
Well, it
You
works
have
as
to
far as
create
the,
AWA like Avatar.
the
Okay,
fir-
You have to have a Pandora
It's a-
planet.
It's a work of
It's
fiction.
fiction.
Can I
Yeah,
have a- can I have a
exactly.
question about the
It's
show?
got to be
real.
fiction. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Can I ask you a question about the show? You know how where the guy was kissing the woman and the woman was glowing? How come she was glowing?
Oh, because the shields, the belt shield they have when
Yeah,
they're
the belt
fighting.
shields. They have the shields.
Go ahead.
Oh no, they have.
So,
Yeah, I
so
remember
it
in
affects
Dune
them
1.
even
There's,
if,
sorry.
even if like they're intimate.
So the shield
wearing it.
technology is based on the technology based on Holtzman. Holtzman made the shield technology, but then it was later refined by Norma Senva. So originally they didn't have the shield modulation technology, which for firing lasers and weapons through ship shields. So they had to lower shields to shoot. So Norma Senva came up with the technology to basically modulate the shield. So you fire, they just go down for a second, the shield comes back up, and they get their burst off. That's how they ended up trying to defeat the thinking machines in fleet battles. Because in the books, it goes into a lot of detail as far as humans can only travel so fast, faster than light speed. So people think of the space folding with spice navigators. You can fold space without a spice navigator, a guild navigator. You can still fold space. You
Which
just
might
it's
hit something going
50-50. it's 50-50 whether you're gonna live
Wow,
or
that
make it.
sucks.
So you can do it with AI computers. AI
Yeah.
supercomputers used to be able to fold space accurately, get their jump points, but guess what? AI is completely banned now after the
Larry and
war.
Jihad.
Exactly. So to sum it up, that's why spice is so important. Spice, to make a guild navigator, you put a person into a chamber full of spice gas that slowly mutates a person into becoming a guild navigator, which elevates their consciousness to the point that they can map all the accurate points in space that a space folding ship can jump to. So once a person's mutated into a space or a guild navigator, they're a slave to the spice.
Yeah.
Essentially, they have to have it or they die. So they're in this canister. They're actually on a bridge of a ship. So there's like a canister. They have like your regular humans on top of like a capital ship bridge, and behind them is a container with a guild navigator in there. And so if he doesn't have the spice, they all die.
Kind of like the 1980s movie.
That was actually very accurate how they look. So the 84 one, the David Lynch, the navigator, that's like what they look like. That's a human, mutates to that eventually. They're not. I don't think they get that big, but I mean they did that for spectacle. They kind of stay a human size.
It was the 80s.
But what happens?
And another thing, the shields, Aaron, is the reason why they all use swords instead of like guns and stuff, because the guns can't get past the shields, but the swords, because they're slower, they can get past the shields.
Yeah, it's velocity based.
Well, another thing too is if you use a laser on a shield, it creates a chain reaction.
Yeah.
Both parties are obliterated. So the aggressor and the victim, or so to speak, both blow up in a small nuke if you shoot a laser.
It hits a shield. If the las gun hits the shield,
it hits a shield. It's a shield.
Yeah.
That's why you don't use. But then it tells you it did a pretty good job in Dune Part 2 and all that, saying like, hey, if you use shields in the desert, it drives the worms crazy. It says that in the book too. So they can't use shields out there. But there's actually a scene in the book where Duncan Idaho sets a shield trap, and the Harkonnens hunting for them, shoot it with a laser and it ignites it. And that's a pretty cool. I wish they had that in the movie, but they didn't do that in Dune Part 1. And that was an inaccuracy in Dune Part 1 when they're trying to get through the door with the laser, the starter car. In the book, they don't do it because they would think
it might
they're wearing shields. Remember that scene in the book when they're like, "Oh, they're not going to use the laser because they might think we're wearing shields." But the movie kind of just ignored that, but
overlooks it.
Still a great movie though.
William is a Sister Kim's navigator, according to Fourth.
Everyone should navigate to Sister Kim's.
So is that a Tlaxu, the shapeshifter, the face dancer?
Well, that's what some people think. They think he's the Gola. Some people think that Desmond Hart is a Gola.
Thank you for answering my question, by the way. I'm very new to the world of Dune and stuff, so I don't know that much.
Yeah, I don't think this show does a good job of showing how important spice is. But I don't think people realize without spice, you have no commerce, no interstellar trade, no interstellar travel, complete chaos, famine across billions of people, worlds, thousands of worlds. Like,
well, is that the job of this show, or should that be the movies?
Well, they should show that better.
It's ubiquitous. It should always be, because if the consequences of Arrakis not being able to bear spice on the universe right now, as you know, the universe would have an adverse effect. But you got to know how important spice is, like you said.
And that is something I think they don't do a good job of showing is how necessary it is.
The Spacing Guild is almost non-existent in the movies.
And that was my biggest problem with the movies was no Spacing Guild. They're barely in part 1. And then also, well, and
They
aside,
have a representative or whatever.
yeah, but I mean, in a way, it's true. They're kind of behind the scenes, but they should show it somehow. But I don't know. And then also, they didn't do my man through for a Hawa. They did him dirty in Doom Part 2.
Yeah,
they didn't even show him.
Yeah,
I was like, man, what the hell what? They didn't even show him.
Well, books, movies, they're different.
Oh, and a big part of the Dune movies, which they never, even in the 1984 version, is there's a whole subplot in the book where everybody thinks Lady Jessica is the spy.
Yeah, and she almost got killed.
Yeah, and they didn't even put any of that in any of the movies. So now I don't remember if they put that in the Sci-Fi Channel. Did they put that in the Sci-Fi Channel?
I don't remember.
I don't remember either. That show is hard to watch because it's so cheap looking to me personally. I think it looks so bad, and the sets and it's so 2000s and like
low budget at that.
I've seen
yeah,
it look very cheap looking.
It's not good, honestly. It looks like Wing Commander 3 CGI.
Personally, I don't care about the CGI as long as they get the story right.
Some say that the miniseries was closer to the book. It's funny, you guys are sitting here watching the episode. I'm just staring at you guys.
Our avatars in 3D.
I'm not watching anything. I'm just sitting here and talking to you guys.
Yeah.
I watched it earlier because I can't watch things when people are talking.
Yeah, that's how I am. But hey, you guys are inviting me on, so blabbing now.
Hey, I'm glad to have you on. You've opened my eyes to a whole lot of stuff.
I did a live stream earlier. I did my review. Like I have my channel's Arrakis Central. It's like basically all Dune material. I do like a lot of more of the, so to speak, like not lore. I do some lore videos, but I do a lot of the merchandise stuff. Like I buy all this Dune stuff and I review it.
Okay.
And then
Does Arrakis have spiders?
I don't know if they ever mentioned spiders.
Because I think Arrakis
has all kinds of things.
Yeah, it has a lot of. It's not as deserty as in the book. It's a lot of shrubbery too. Yeah. And there's like, of course, it has like, doesn't it have like it mentions the hawks or the birds or something there that they fly around.
Yeah,
the mice. That's what I know of.
There's a lot of more.
Yeah, they have Muad'Dib.
Well, yeah, Muad'Dib, of course.
Yeah, the little mouse or whatever.
But there's like a desert hawk that they mention in the book, flying around and stuff too. And they hunt at night. Everything's nocturnal because it's too hot in the day, right? So everything survives at night. Pretty good, pretty cool. Well, we have the sand trout.
When did John Carter of Mars, the Princess of Mars, was that before Dune, the book?
Oh, I don't know.
You know, William?
I think that
Princess of Mars.
That might be that might be older than Dune, actually.
I think
that sounds like that was like a pulp. Those were like pulp books.
Mars, like
planets. John Carter is awesome, dude. I love that movie too.
I love that movie too.
So I only knew about that because in grade school, our teacher read it to us.
Woohoo! The plane's taking off.
Yeah.
Princess of Mars was printed in 1917, so I'm going to go ahead and say
yeah, it's older.
Actually, no, I'm sorry. Publication date was 1912.
Oh wow!
It was put into book format in 1917.
That's all. Is that older than Lord of the Rings, Clint? Or
oh yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
that's a damn good book series. I like the way they draw the Frenzetta, the guy who drew John Carter, and I forgot what her name is. The girl, the thick legs and the muscular bodies. It's definitely good. I like it when the artwork meets up.
1912 is like almost before. Isn't that before World War One?
Well, that's it. That is before World War One.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is 2 years
World
before
War-
the beginning of World War One. World War One began in 1914.
Yeah, Lord of the Rings was written after World War One.
Yeah, because Tolkien was a combat vet, wasn't he?
Yeah.
I watched that movie. And it shows his friends
Well,
having his buddy has shell shock and all that.
1912. That's when the Titanic sank. 1912.
Yeah, Titanic.
Or was it Titanic? Did it just change the name of it? I love conspiracies on the Titanic stuff.
Oh wow, a Titanic conspiracy for the ages. Omega.
They
Thoughts?
changed.
What would a Titanic conspiracy be that they just
They painted.
Didn't sink?
They changed
they
the name
sank
of
it on
it.
purpose?
They
They
get the
sank
ins-
it on purpose.
For
They
the
get
insurance money?
Yep, insurance. They changed, and there's actually a
Seriously,
record
guys?
of.
Even Iraq Central's on the Titanic
Yeah,
conspiracy.
yeah.
Sorry, I started it.
No, but I was gonna ask about
Just blame Brad, Iraq.
for Dune.
Just
I was
blame
gonna
Brad.
say how much money did Dune make opening weekend this year? Does
Go ahead, Brad.
Opening weekend? I don't know.
I
Opening.
think it made like I think it made good money.
I made like 700,000 total worldwide, something like that.
Only $700,000 more wide. That's pretty
I mean,
bad.
700 million. I mean, a million. I mean,
Yeah.
okay. It's like Napoleon Dynamite.
No, it did let me see here. Opening weekend, it did 100. It did 100 million opening weekend, and
That's
all,
great.
and all
That's
it,
better
all told,
than that's
Yeah,
better
all
than a
told.
lot of movies.
in all told, it did 282 North America and 714 overall.
Absolute fun said without spice you can't make the Powerpuff Girls. That's a very true statement. So what did you think about the episode, William? And then Rackus, do you want to maybe point some things out to us that we should be on the lookout for, given what was shown in the episode?
Try
still
not to
watching the
spoil
previews.
things.
You're still watching it, Wayne? Oh, you were
Well,
watching
the previews.
oh,
The show
yeah, yeah, yeah.
We don't want to have to call you Brad, Arrakis.
Yeah.
Well, there's gonna be, I guess, a revelation of something they are hiding, and then the sisterhood. So they're hiding something, and then we kind of they've alluded to it already because they said it in the first episode, the breeding index.
Yeah. Yep.
So you're gonna see. I'll just say it like this: you're gonna see what that is,
Okay.
and then on top of that, so the Desmond Hart stuff, I don't exactly know because that's not in the books.
So that's where we're in uncharted territory, as it were.
Kind of. I kind of have an idea. So I have a theory. It's not a I don't know.
Okay.
You guys, can I tell it or will it ruin it for people?
What do you think, William?
I would leave it a little bit for right now. In case
Okay.
we're
I have
getting
a
people to watch
strong. I have my personal opinion theory, but anyways, I'll leave it up. But so watch out for see here. There's gonna be more flashbacks. So Tula Harkonnen, she did something.
Mm-hmm.
To basically, she's going to do something pretty backstabby-ish. I'll leave it at that. When in your younger years, because you're going to see that flashback.
Is that where that lady referred to? You stole my future.
Well, she keeps saying like, "Hey, I can make sacrifices and all that." Her sister, Valio's sister, Tula. She said it in both episodes now. Hey, I know how to make sacrifices. Basically, you're gonna see what that is, and then
somebody gets offered up. It sounds like all right, cool.
Well, not offered up, but I don't want to ruin it. I already because that part's anything that's flashbacks. That's all in the book, so I know all that.
Did you get a screener, Brad?
For Dune? No.
I haven't seen any screeners either. I'm not that big either. But I don't really need a screener because I pretty much know which direction it's going to go. But
Well, Brad likes to tell us whenever he gets a screener multiple times, so that's why we have to ask now.
Damn right.
All right. Well, that was
Whoa! Let's get everybody's thoughts on the panel of the
I don't
episode.
give a fuck about everybody's opinion.
Come on, man. That's why we're here.
Fuck all of you. I've had.
What do you mean, fuck
an
us, dude?
hour and 18 minutes of you. No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead. Go. Brad, start with you.
Yeah, I think the pacing definitely definitely improved this episode, and yeah, overall, I think I think it's the better of the two so far overall. So yeah, I definitely enjoyed this one a lot more.
I definitely enjoyed the pacing a lot more. I understood the reasoning of why episode 1 was where it is. Even still, this is, like I said, I still have the same concerns for new watchers of this show. If they're trying to grow the audience, this isn't going to be easy because there's a lot of stuff that has to get that. If you really want to have the full-on experience, there's a lot of stuff you got to chase back. I don't know if it's just the average layman is going to do that. Like I said, it's different from Dune Parts 1 and 2 because he streamlined a lot of things to make it acceptable to just anybody that could come in. I took people who did not know what the Dune franchise was, and they were able to enjoy both movies. So this is a little bit different. This is more methodical. It's beautifully done. I love the settings. But it's a thinking man show to the point where it's like beyond that. So with only 4 more episodes left, I don't know if they're going to get to the heart of what they need to get to. But then again, these people are professionals, so I'll just sit back and watch.
How about you, Aaron? What do you think of the episode so far?
I think it was pretty interesting. I believe I agree. It's a lot faster than the first episode. There's more of a pace.
Okay. You want to share your observations, Clint, that you had were on the roll with?
I can definitely tell it's not Frank Herbert writing this. It doesn't have the feel of it, but it's an enjoyable story so far, and it's it's kind of like going down the rabbit hole of Dune and seeing where all the where the Bene Gesserit come from or eventually become and where they get their start. It's enjoyable to watch for me, but I understand why William has his trepidations because it is kind of dense.
Mm. And then what about you, Omega? What'd you think about the episode?
Yeah, it's exactly like he says. It's very dense. I just think that the random person, when you watch this show, you're like, you're watching it because of the way that the world was set up because of the books, and Denis, I forget his name, the director, the visionary, Denis Villeneuve or whatever. And I don't know. I don't think there'll be a season 2 of this. I think this isn't like the Penguin. I honestly believe unless they do
of course it's not.
Unless they do something, they have to
it's
do
not
something.
Like the Penguin. You're right.
They're going to have to do something so cool or just out of the box or so awesome with a battle or a death, or they're going to have to get something so amazing that people are like, "Holy crap! Did you see this thing? Don't tell me when I watch it," because just seeing politics and things is like. I don't know. I don't really like Dune too much. That's my problem. I'm like, I don't like it. I just never liked Dune. I like the movies.
Here's my primary question to you,
but I like the visuals. I love the visuals of the world. But
I want you to. Here's the thing.
I feel it's like Halo. That was a piece of crap too.
You came to a Dune watch party.
Oh no, I know I came to it, but I'm just telling you that I don't feel that this will get more seasons. Because. Well, number one, because they don't have anything that is telling you this is the A plus B equals C.
Within
Star Wars,
within the 2 episodes, within the 2 out of 6, within the 2 out of 6 episodes, do you think they might be able to pull you back in?
No, 6 is not enough. William was right.
Well, you were never in though. Here's the thing though. You're like the guy who shows up at a party and like. Doesn't like any of the. I mean, you.
No, I didn't say I didn't like any of it, but I just.
Well, he said he likes the movies, right?
It really comes down to this. That I was going to talk about it, but I guess we got to go because it's late now.
Yeah.
But it was when Rebel Moon came out, I was blown away with the mythology building of the myth world and how cool that came out. So that really spoiled me on Dune, that I was like, oh my God, like these people have the power to talk and make you do things. And you don't see that like like where's a group of somebody going, we have to like, if they talk to it, like just a scene where you're in the room and you go, if this person opens their mouth and talks, I could be dead. Like they don't even have just a simple, small kind of scene like that where it's like here's a Jedi with a lightsaber, but I'm Django and I got it's just they don't even have something so simple. They're trying to do too
Omega?
much.
What?
Wait.
I don't know.
Omega.
If somebody talks and that's
Right
the end of your life,
right
like they
now,
go, kill yourself.
Nobody knows they have the voice.
I
in
know
this-
they don't, but
in this
why
series-
don't? But they know everything else. They know about the spice on the planets. They know about.
And I'm Django.
He's gonna put the. I know it. He's gonna put the.
Well, I thought
Omega.
the episode was pretty cool, and I'm simple. I thought
it's not gonna
answer.
get another season. I don't think.
Omega. Once they found out about the voice, and they did.
Yeah, that
find
should be
out about
traveled.
the
That
voice,
should be traveled around the space. That should be traveling around space.
Once they found out, they started gagging the Bene Gesserit so they couldn't use the voice.
I know, but they should. But why aren't they all wiped out? What's keeping them alive?
Because they're extremely
They're
useful.
planning and they're genius. And
Oh, they're geniuses. Oh my God, yeah.
They're
All right.
extremely useful to the Empire, to the leaders.
I know that, but it's not. I don't believe it. I believe
It's
they just
okay.
want to. I believe they just want to use the power in a scene when they're like, "Well, we have 5 seconds, so she has to get out of the room." So she says something, or it's never going to be real. Like I'd love to.
So you don't think
None of this
you
is
don't
real.
think this is,
William,
any of this
let
is
me
going
just
to
say
win
this,
you over?
William. If I was doing a scene, I'd say I don't care about the script. I don't care about it. I'd say I'm going to go around, and there's maybe 800 guys in the room, and now one of them has the power to make them all, mind control with the voice. That's what I want to see. I want to see that. Like, what happens if one of them?
Okay,
doesn't
then
listen,
watch
you know.
something that's in. We're watching Dune.
I know, but that's what Dune could be. I guess I'm just trying to tell the
That's a
writers.
different stream. That's a
He's being
different stream.
hopeful. He's being hopeful. That's all.
I'm trying to help. I'm trying to help you, William, because look, the writers who are watching Dune, the writers who
he didn't even make the show.
no, if the William, the writers who make Dune Prophecy, if they don't get to do more seasons, it's because they don't get to listen to the voice and the feedback of the fans. And as a part 1 and part 2, it's okay. I don't know. It's not going to get another season. That's all I'm going to
Did
say.
you get X by Aaron?
I don't. Okay, be honest, guys. Do you really think Dune is awesome?
Yeah,
I
Or
enjoy
sitting
Dune
here
for what it
Watch
is.
the awesome franchises. Are you watching Dune because of the 2 movies, or are you watching them because you love the books? Because Arrakis love
Okay,
the books.
for one, I don't love the books. I would rather eat the books with ketchup before I ever read them.
Exactly.
So that's not out there.
But Arrakis just said a whole bunch of cool stuff from the books that I would love to see. The way he explained all the world, I was like, I want to see that. I'm like, there's a lot of cool
that's what
stuff.
they're trying to show you, dude. That's
but
what
you-
you're.
But they're not showing it. They're just
Okay,
showing
I'm
an
sorry.
episode.
I'm sorry. I'll do better next season.
They need to be on high alert.
So,
Like,
what are your thoughts, Arrakis?
They're just opinions, man. They're just opinions.
you guys liked it though. It's not a bad show. It's not gonna. It's just.
I was 50-50 on episode 1, but I really liked episode 2. And I feel that this show was made for guys like me that read all those books.
That's for sure.
So I'm kind of biased on it. So I actually so to be devil's advocate, so to speak, Omega is right on the
That's
aspect
not
that
devil's aspect. Oh, jeez.
Denny Villeneuve is a
Nora.
way better director / filmmaker, showmaker, so to speak, than these folks. That's for sure.
Right.
Oh,
As those-
okay. I'm going to disagree there because there's 2 different missions. There's 2 different missions. So the criteria that you judge somebody who's given 6 episodes to build an intricate story and somebody who's given 2 hours and 45 minutes to basically draw you in with the basic movie making props that you have. A series is different from a show. and the dynamics are different from the show, and the way you're drawn in and what's supposed to get your attention immediately in a movie, you have more time over a more reference to go through. So I think these people are doing a fine job. The only problem I have is how much are you willing to invest into the lore that is Dune in order to be somebody who watches HBO on their 6 p.m. slot on Sunday on a regular basis. That I like to try to compare it necessarily. It's just a different mission. It's just a different mission. For what you're trying to do in 2.5 hours versus what you're laying out over 6, 8, 9, 10 episodes. So I think they've done a fine job. It is difficult though, because on Dune on its best day is a complex IP. That's why it was risky to even make a Dune movie. When they did, and then a sequel, it's always been a risky IP. So that comes with with the suitcase that is Dune. But at the same time, I just I think these people know what they're doing.
Looks like we
It's
got
just, do we have the capacity as a general audience to take in what they're doing? That's my only concern. Okay, that's
you gotta read it. You gotta read it out loud, man.
William is right. He's right about it. It's an IP that's really hard, and you just need a visionary. You have to have people who are visionaries.
See, but you William, you're shaking your head, but all three of you guys are agreeing. Brackus, maybe could you finish your thought about the difference in the showrunner versus the director? I mean, I thought it was
I guess I should clarify. My Dune brain, I love it. I really do like that we're getting more Dune stylized, material or content. But then money making wise, business wise, I kind of agree a little bit with Omega. Like the movies, I think were styled. Like, I'll give an example. So in Dune Part 1, when right in the beginning of the movie, when Paul's still on Caladan, and he wakes up, they show the little voice scene between him and Lady Jessica, and then he's immediately, not immediately, but he's in watching a holotape, and the narrator, the holotape is teaching us the backstory of Dune, the basics. And like within like a quick 20-second scene, the audience knows like, oh, there's spice, there's spacing guild. We have to have spice in order to do space travel. It's only found on Arrakis. So then they lay it out in a very clear visual way in Dune Part 1. And I don't think the show is for people like me that are whatever, that love Dune already. So I'm like, I'm kind of like,
it's kind of like the difference between Sicario 1 and Sicario 2.
Oh no. See, I like I said, the movie lays out the basic premise. That's the job of the movie, though, because you aren't laying this out. I pay money for trying to lay that out on the screen. He went as far as he could, as far as laying out the basic premise. This show has a lot more real estate to do it at the pace it needs to, though.
Which I actually like better.
Yeah,
that's why I'm like torn between what I like, and what I'm trying to be like 50-50 here. Omega is like saying, like, for the mass audiences, is it gonna go? And I'm like, I love it, but then I know
we
how
actually
I am.
like open-minded opinions here on this channel. Except for one person does not like opinions.
That one person is kind of important.
I kind of see that. I see both sides of it, basically. Even though I love the advance, because like the very first scene, we see the machine. We see in the battle. Well, I think it's the Battle of Corn. We see the thinking machines, them fighting the thinking machines with swords, and that's straight out of the books. They literally assault the thinking machines with shields and swords in the book, and in the books. And I'm like, that's awesome. And then there's so much more in there going on, but it's like I thought that was awesome when they did that. And then they talk about the throne room scene, or the banquet scene in episode 1 last week, when the kid pulls out the toy, the thinking machine toy, and they're like, oh, they're all freaking out, like, because people don't understand that's like Judge Dredd, instant death sentence, to have thinking machine technology in this time period.
It's like
It's
the difference.
instant. They'll wipe out your whole entire city for it. So I don't think the Balerians, they're not really mentioned yet. I don't know if Manford Torundo is going to be mentioned at all in here. The basically
I don't think
late.
there's enough time to cover some of this stuff. You only have.
So there's
Yeah,
it's
you are going to
crazy.
get more. You are going to get more. Here's the thing that gives it an advantage over a lot of the stuff that it's the prestige of this time slot, and people will give it, even if it's a little bit. It's going to be tougher. I'll have to admit that it's going to be tougher for the average Joe. But the average Joe is brought to this time slot on the credibility of the things that have gone before that, and they've been different, varying degrees of complexity. I think that here's where HBO's reputation will give it the benefit of the doubt, and people will stick around for it. I do think it'll be multiple seasons. I think there will be different themes of it, but I do think you'll get, because there's not enough time to go where they're going, and the pacing of the show. Even if it's another 6-episode season, I do think you'll get more of this world and this format, because this is where this type of stuff belongs. See, the Dune movies, to get you into the universe, to appeal you to the universe, that's one thing. This builds an entire infrastructure, a supporting infrastructure under it. And it's important, that they take that time to do it and that pacing to do it. But I do think, especially, once the third film comes out, I think it'll all lock in together. But this will keep you a lot longer than the movies that Denis Villeneuve's doing, because you have more ground to cover and more information to put out. So I think, like I said, I think it's going to be tougher to hold the audience, but I think they will ultimately.
What was this guy's name? Jason Momoa in Dune 1? What was his character's name?
Duncan
Idaho.
Yeah, why didn't they make a show with him showing his prequel? Wasn't he like, because I loved his character. He was bad
Duncan Idaho becomes way more important later
as
in
the
the
time.
Dune.
Yeah. Probably,
he's
probably one of the most important characters in the whole.
Yeah,
deal.
you'll basically.
I remember in Dune 1 what happened, but I don't want to spoil it.
We'll just put it this way: you'll see him again if they do the movie, the next movie correctly.
Hashtag Brad the
just
spoiler.
like that. Just to talk about William, if they had someone like a Jason Momoa or a Josh Brolin leading the charge, you're like, okay, I can connect.
This is a TV show, so
yeah. For a movie, yes. For the TV show, no. And like I said, I know they're part of the same universe, but I don't think they should be.
You got spoiled with Colin Farrell reprising his role as the Penguin on a TV show.
This IP is so complex that you could tell any layer of story. In the movies, you don't have, like right now. You don't have to have seen Dune 1 and 2 to see this.
Yeah.
To get into this, you could go beyond and back and forth. If you watch Dune 1 and 2, you're fine if you never see this. But if you are somebody who enjoyed either one and you want more, which is basically what consumption is, then you have it. Here it is, and it's being done at the pace that we saw the big spectacles and the big skyscrapers in Dune 1 and 2. Now we're seeing the cornerstones. Now we're seeing how the streets are built. Now we're seeing a lot of that stuff that makes that world make sense. Now, from somebody like Arrakis, who is deep into the lore, there's going to be a different perspective. But that's probably majority of the people who watch these things that are based on books don't ever read the books. They don't ever read the books. The vast majority of any adapted IP, so you still got to get them. But you got to do it in a way that
That's why it's valuable to have his thoughts, and it's also good for his seal of approval if he's saying it's referencing the books that he's read, and it fits good with them. I guess that's a good.
And also understand when they adapt these things and they leave things out that are in the books, they're doing that for a reason. Mm-hmm. They're doing that because it's not necessarily, relevant to the pacing or the goals that they're setting out. A book is a book, a show is a show, a movie is a movie. So there's that as well. So, hey, well, that was fun. That was something. Thank you, Arrakis Central, for coming on.
Oh yeah, I loved it. It's fun. That's the first live panel I've ever been on.
Yeah, they're wild. Probably end up having to watch the episode again.
This is a good commentary to watch along with it, though.
Yeah,
Nice.
you know, a lot of stuff going on. So a lot
By
of
the way-
times I end up watching it before or I'll watch it again after just to
By,
get the
by the
gist
way,
of it.
Arrakis, real quick thing I wanted to ask: are you a fan of the Raid by any chance?
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh, I didn't hear his. What was the question?
Yeah, you didn't miss anything.
I told you, William. He thinks that only 12 people have seen it, and it's like that's totally not true.
All
He
right.
didn't answer
Well,
the
no.
question.
No, I
'cause
didn't
he-
hear. I didn't hear what he said.
Oh, okay, that's what he said. Oh my god, no,
It's
are
not
you a fan of?
important, Arrakis. It's not important.
All right.
Have you seen the Raid movies, Arrakis?
The raid, like the kung fu or karate
Yeah,
movies.
yeah.
Yeah, I've seen some of those.
Told
Okay.
you, William.
That is relevant to Dune in what way, shape, or form? Zero.
Hey,
Assassin's
Arrakis.
Creed too.
Doesn't matter. It's relevant
Arrakis.
to
We like to say try on this channel. So
It's a
try.
word that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
by the way.
I'm a
Really?
movie guy, not just Dune stuff. So I'm an 80s, 90s, 2000s. I'm a big
And
movie.
you
I'm a movie
read,
guy.
you read, and literacy
You
is important.
Zack Snyder's Justice League, or you like the original cut better?
Oh no! I like the Zack Snyder's way better,
Damn straight.
and I don't like Rebel Moon.
Okay.
That's
Rebel
fair
Moon?
enough.
Ah, that's a whole nother.
Eh,
Me, I can't take
like,
up
we
the
should have
time.
a
William.
Arrakis Omega
I can't take
Swiper
up the
showdown
time.
for that.
Fuck no.
That would be hilarious.
All right. Thank you for everybody.
I did like
100
Deadpool.
126 people watching all over our.
That's what I'm saying. So why cut it short? It's try time,
Because-
baby.
Well, no, I gotta go. I gotta work in the
Yeah,
morning.
it
but,
doesn't need to last forever.
Rebel
Well, you're
Moon,
welcome
awesome.
back on any time, Arrakis.
Yeah, I
Yeah, we-
subbed to the channel, so
Awesome.
and I'm on like YouTube and I'm on Twitch and I'm.
Okay.
So the main reason I started my Dune channel is because Dune Awakening's coming out in the spring, video game.
Okay.
Fourth wants you to say try Arrakis. You think you want to go ahead and do that?
It's not a word. Please don't, Arrakis. I'd love to have you back.
Just
All
say
right,
try.
guys.
Try.
I
you.
will see you tomorrow night.
Try.
Ah,
Try.
Reading. Remember, reading is fundamental.
Try.
Words are hard, so try.
Yeah.
Try.
We collectively can't spell train.
You
That's what
think
that
that. We say try, bro.
Bye. I'll
See
see
you
you all when I
guys.
see you.